Did you know the world before the flood was so wicked that God decided to start over? Imagine a society so full of sin that it drove God to cleanse the earth. In this video, we'll uncover the shocking truth about what made the pre-flood world so corrupt and how it led to humanity's near destruction. Stay with us as we reveal the dark secrets hidden in those ancient days, secrets that still hold powerful lessons today. Don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening content. Have you ever wondered just how corrupt the world was before God decided to wipe it out with a flood? What kind of wickedness could push God to such a drastic measure? The Bible paints a chilling picture of the world before the flood. Genesis 6:5 says, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time." Think about that for a moment. Every thought, every action, every intention was soaked in sin. This wasn't just a few bad apples spoiling the bunch. It was an entire society drowning in evil. Violence, immorality, and corruption were the norms, not the exceptions. It was a world where sin wasn't just tolerated, it was celebrated. And then there were the Nephilim. These mysterious beings described in Genesis 6:1-4 were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. Who were they? The Bible leaves some details shrouded in mystery, but one thing is clear. Their presence on earth marked a dark turn for humanity. They were giants, both in stature and in their influence on society, driving humanity further into moral decay. Many may know about the Nephilim, but few grasp how their existence was a tipping point in God's decision to flood the earth. These beings weren't just another layer of wickedness. They were the embodiment of humanity's rebellion against God's created order. Their presence blurred the lines between the divine and human, adding a supernatural layer to the corruption already festering on earth. Imagine a world so far gone that even the divine order was being distorted, a world where evil wasn't just present, it was overwhelming. It's no wonder God chose to start over. What happened was so terrible that God, the creator of the universe, wished he had never made mankind. In Genesis 6:6, we encounter one of the most heart-wrenching verses in the Bible. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. Can you imagine the depth of sorrow it would take for God, the one who breathed life into Adam, who walked with humanity in the cool of the day, to look upon his creation and feel regret? This wasn't just disappointment. It was a profound grief, a divine sorrow that echoed through the heavens. Why would God, all-knowing, all-powerful and full of love, feel such deep regret? The answer lies in the weight of human sin. Humanity had become so corrupt, so twisted in its ways, that it pained God to the core. Every act of violence, every deceitful thought, every rebellion against his holy ways piled up like a mountain of sorrow on God's heart. This wasn't the world he intended, where love and justice reigned. Instead, it had become a world steeped in darkness, far removed from the beauty of Eden. Amid the overwhelming wickedness that plagued the earth, one man stood out, Noah. Genesis 6:9 tells us, "Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God." Imagine the courage it took to live righteously in a world where evil was the norm. While others were consumed by violence, greed, and immorality, Noah walked a different path. His life was a stark contrast to the culture around him, a life of integrity and unwavering faith in God. But what set Noah apart wasn't just his moral character, it was his relationship with God. In a time when humanity had turned its back on the Creator, Noah remained faithful. This faithfulness wasn't just a passive belief, it was active, demonstrated in his everyday life. Because of this, Noah found favor with God. In a world where God saw only corruption, he looked at Noah and saw hope, saw a man who still honored him in a generation that had forgotten who they were meant to be. Then came the most challenging task of all, building the ark. Think about the sheer enormity of this command. God told Noah to build a massive vessel in preparation for a flood that Noah had never seen and could hardly imagine. And yet, without question, without hesitation, Noah obeyed. Hebrews 11:7 reflects on this moment, saying, "By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family." Noah's faith was a lifeline, a testimony that even in the darkest times, salvation is possible for those who remain faithful. Have you ever considered why God didn't just punish sin, but chose to reset the entire world? What does this tell us about the seriousness of humanity's corruption? The flood wasn't just an act of judgment. It was a divine reset, a complete overhaul of a world drowning in sin. Humanity had sunk so deep into wickedness that a simple punishment wouldn't suffice. Genesis 6:17 says, "I am going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish." This wasn't just about erasing evil. It was about giving creation a fresh start, one cleansed from the darkness that had overtaken it. The severity of the flood is staggering. Picture an earth where every living thing, man, beast, and bird, was swept away by the waters. This wasn't just a storm. It was a cataclysmic event, the likes of which the world had never seen and would never see again. It was God's response to a world that had spiraled out of control, a world where sin had corrupted every heart and action. But amid this destruction, there was a glimmer of hope, a chance for renewal through Noah and his family. After the waters receded and the earth began to dry, God established a new covenant with Noah, a promise that would shape the course of history. Genesis 9:12-13 records this powerful moment. "And God said, 'This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth.'" This wasn't just a promise to Noah, it was a declaration to all of creation. The flood wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's story, written in the light of God's mercy. Here is the message for our world. Could our world today be echoing the sins of the past? Are we blindly walking the same path that led to destruction in Noah's time? When we reflect on the pre-flood world, it's alarming how much our society resembles it today. In Noah's time, people were consumed by violence, immorality, and a total disregard for God. Genesis 6:11 tells us, "Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence." Sadly, we see these same patterns today, where sin is not just tolerated but often celebrated. From widespread injustice to the erosion of moral values, our world is teetering on the same edge as that ancient generation. This parallel raises a critical question. Are we repeating the same mistakes? In a world that seems to mirror the corruption of Noah's time, the need for righteousness has never been more urgent. Matthew 24:37 warns us, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." This is a sobering reminder that history could repeat itself if we do not turn back to God. But there is hope. Just as Noah found favor with God by living righteously in a corrupt world, we too are called to stand firm in our faith. Romans 12:2 urges us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." In a time when the world around us seems lost, living a life of righteousness is not just a choice, it's a necessity. It's our beacon of hope, our way of standing out in a world darkened by sin. So let's take the lessons from Noah's time to heart. The flood was a divine reset, but the next time God intervenes, it will be for final judgment. Let us strive to live lives that reflect God's light in a world so desperately in need of it. If this message resonates with you, Please like and share this video so that others can be reminded of these powerful truths. Together, we can make a difference.